Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Mondays with Michelle video. This week's topic, UK fire insurance maps. We'll look at various websites with online fire insurance maps for England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. We'll also discuss how these maps can help us visualize where our ancestors lived. Let's get started. So, as I mentioned, what I thought I would talk about today is a continuation of our discussion last week on fire insurance maps. I thought I would go through a number of the websites that have the British fire insurance maps. So, one of the main companies that created the maps was the Goad company. And Charles Goad, what I found interesting, this particular website, goadoldstreetmaps.com, has a little bit of information about Charles Goad. And what I found interesting was he was born in Surrey. He actually moved to Canada. And it was when he was in Canada, he set up the Charles Goad Company in Montreal in 1875 and started mapping the streets and identifying the buildings, the nature of them, their construction, and created these insurance plans. And it was very successful in Canada. So he then extended that same process to the family's company in London. And it says here, he created insurance maps, although it was mainly for Canada and the United Kingdom, but it says it also covered countries like Turkey, Egypt, South Africa, West Indies, etc. So some of the maps that I showed you last week for Canada would have been the Goad maps, and you will recognize the color coding and the format of the maps as we take a look at the ones that we're going to see today for Britain. Now, the British Library has a really good collection of online Goad maps, and there will be links to all of these websites in the handout. So this general information page tells you what's available online, and there is a link to fire insurance maps and plans. Now, what's interesting is if you click on that link, because you notice right now, we are in the British Library website looking at their fire insurance guide. If you click on this fire insurance maps and plans link, what you actually get taken to is an out-of-date page that's not directly in their current website. You notice we're accessing the Wayback Machine, the web archive. And the reason for that is this tool to view the online maps is only partially working because it uses flash technology, which was no longer supported more than a year ago now. So a lot of websites that use interactive maps, although the websites are still there, you don't have full functionality. So what we have on this page is, as you can see, you can access the Goad insurance maps for Scotland, Wales, England, Ireland, and Northern Ireland. So if we were to click on England, we would come to a new set of maps with different regions. So if we then click on Yorkshire and Humber, and you'll notice it actually lists the particular towns that are covered by those maps. So it's not going to have everything. They focused on the major town centers. So this particular website, we have maps for Goole, we have maps for Hull, Leeds, Sheffield, Batley, Dewsbury. So if you click on this particular section, you come to a list of maps. Now, there are a few things to note, a few things I don't like about the way this is presented. You have your page numbers listed at the top here. There is no indication which page is the active page. So you've got to keep track of what page you're on, because the way they list all the maps is alphabetical by city. So for example, if we want to go directly to the Goole maps, there is no search field where I can just type in Goole and go to that map. I've got to jump around by clicking one of these page numbers, or go page by page by doing the next button. So if I actually jumped around a bit to figure out where the Goole maps were, and they're right at the bottom of all of the stuff on Dewsbury. But again, you notice when we're looking at the page numbers, there is no visible indication to tell you which page you're on. I believe what we're on right now is page 5. Let me just click page 6. Yeah, that's Great Grimsby. So Goole should be page 5. But if I hadn't made a note of what page number I was on, I wouldn't be able to tell. So yes, we were on page 5. And if I want to look at one of these plans in detail, I would just click the particular image. And this is showing sheet 2 of 2. So if I go back to this list, all I did was click this insurance plan of Goole, sheet 2 of 2. It brings me to this page, and I have some choices. So I can either see the full-size printable image, I can look at the related image, because you notice this page is split into 2 pieces. We've got the color piece at the bottom and kind of a grayed out one. That's showing you that there are actually 2 image maps. If I click on this related image, now it's showing the upper part. If I click on related image with the underline 2, that's the link to the bottom part of the map. This area here, interactive zoomable image, that's the part that's no longer working because it needs the flash technology. What they do have available is the printable image. So if I click on that, it shows you the map, and you can print this out if you want. The issue with this is if I try to enlarge it, and I can do that just using my keyboard. On a PC, it's Control and plus. So if I try to zoom, I can zoom it a bit, but you'll notice it starts to distort. So the zoomable image is something that is not available reliably within this application. But there are other ways you can get at that same information. And I'll just show you what that is. There's another website called Old Maps Online. And if I type Google, or I could click down here, find a place, and I could type Google in here and press enter. It brings me to a map of Google, and over on the right is a list of other maps. One of them is labeled Insurance Plan of Google. If I click that, it brings up this little information window, and I'm going to click View as Overlay. So it's now overlaid this map of Google with that sheet. And you'll notice it's also put that map that I selected in this list of maps that I am actively using. On the right, we have kind of a narrower column that is showing all of the maps that are available in case I want to change the map. And you'll notice it's now sorted them so that all of the insurance plans for Google are at the top. So this very first one, you can see from the square that is lit up the minute I hover over the map. This very first one is the map that I had clicked on. If I hover over the next one, do you see there's a brown square just to the bottom left that's now lit up? If I click that, it's now filled in this area of the map with the overlay of that GOAD map. And it's added that overlay to my list here. If I now go to the third area, it's got a GOAD map for that section just to the left. If I click it, it's now using that. So what I've now done is I have overlaid the map with all three of those Google sheets that were available through the British Library. The advantage of going in to this website is I can zoom in without losing any resolution. So if I click the plus sign here and I go down to this area and I just keep zooming in, everything is nice and clear. I can see all the details and read all of the information. So that's a really handy feature. So even though you cannot zoom in from that British Library website, you can get to all of those British Library maps from this Old Maps Online by just typing in one of the towns that's listed in that description. We can access all the information. Now, the GOAD maps also have been added to this Layers of London website. And that's an interesting one. So if you click on this Layers of London link, you come to this particular website here. And if you've never visited this website, it's worth spending some time because there are all types of map overlays. So if you click Explore the Map, you come to this particular screen, and I chose overlays. And that brings up the list of overlays. And as you can see, you've got all kinds of choices. Tudor London, before and after the Great Fire, medieval London. Well, I scrolled down quite a ways until I found the Goad map overlay. And you click on that, all these little circles pop up, and they're just showing items of interest that you could click on and see more details. What you want to do is select use this overlay and then hide the pins. And if I now zoom in, do you see this area of London has all of these pink colored details, which are the Goad map. So you can either zoom in and just browse, or you could type a particular place. So if I wanted to, just because I'm not real familiar with all the areas of London, but let's say I wanted to find this Leadenhall place, I could type in a place, Leadenhall. Oh, let's do Leadenhall Market, Grace Church. And I can enlarge. Here's a churchyard. And I can see the details of that Goad map. So this Layers of London is another great way of seeing the maps specifically for the London area. I mentioned that through the British Library, you can also see maps for Scotland, maps for Ireland, Wales. The National Library of Scotland also has their own digitized images of these insurance plans, and they have a list and the sheet numbers. So if you wanted to see, for instance, the insurance plan for, this is Campbelltown, Argyllshire. And this is the key map that is showing that index to the key buildings, the distilleries. And you notice it's giving you the sheet number of where those buildings would be located. So this is like the first page of the series of maps. They call it the key plan. So you have your small version of the insurance plan. Each of those numbered squares represents a separate map image, just like what we looked at last week. And there will be a separate image showing the detail for each of those areas. And here is the detail for sheet 2. And again, you can zoom in and see the details of the types of buildings. We've got a kiln here, malting, granary, another kiln, a still house, town mill. So dwellings over here. So again, similar type of information to what we saw in last week's maps. And the last website I wanted to show you, if all else fails, Wikimedia also has the images for the different fire insurance plans. So the nice thing about this page is you could just type in the place and fire insurance, or you could scroll through, because this is all alphabetical. You could scroll through until you find what you're looking for. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Don't forget to download the handout. You'll find the link in the video description at the bottom of your screen. You may need to click Show More to see the handout links. Thanks for watching.